Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we cover it all here. Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So the time for talking is done. We finally arrived. Feels like this week has taken 2 weeks to get to this point. Feel like we've gone through a bye week and we've talked all bye week, and now, we finally gotten to the actual game week. And all of this trash talking between Eagles fans and Commanders fans and, all of the storylines, all of the narratives have allowed to be perpetuated. And I'm glad that we're at this point because I'm sick of the noise and I'm just ready for action now. About that action, boss. The brotherhood has been tested this season, and we've passed almost every test. Now it's time to return to the scene of the crime and shock the world once again. One of the things I love about this team and Jayden Daniels in particular is that they don't repeat mistakes. They're not repeat offenders. You get them once, you won't get them again. No team this season has beaten Jayden Daniels twice. Every team that he's seen for a second time has gone down. Every venue that he's been to for a second time, he's won. Didn't conquer the Eagles the first time in Philadelphia at the Link. You could argue, I don't think I'll find many that would argue with me, that his worst game of the season was that Thursday night game. I could sit here and make a bunch of excuses as to why, but it's not necessary. The facts are it was his worst game as a pro. He didn't look comfortable. He didn't see the field well. He wasn't very accurate. He played skittish, and we didn't win. Held us to our lowest point total of the season in the process. With that said, we learned a lot from that game. We grew from that game. And that's another thing that I love about this team this year is the growth that we've seen from them throughout the course of this season. From, the young team in week 1 that was clearly not prepared for the first game of the season, whether it was not playing together throughout the preseason, being overwhelmed by the moment, just playing a team that was flat out better than you, that had experience playing together, which we didn't at the time. Whatever the case may be, we were an inexperienced and immature team in week 1. But from that loss came a 4-game win streak that we learned about each other, started to figure out who we were, got tested on the road at Cincinnati, had to win with 7 field goals against the Giants. Jayden's first come-from-behind victory, or really first game-winning drive of his career. The Monday night game against Cincinnati set the stage for the season that would be what it's been thus far. You go to Arizona, and that was really one of the turning points in the season for me. If we're being honest, if you ask me to pinpoint when was the brotherhood forged and the bond that was forged was unbreakable, I'd tell you it was that sequence of going on the road on a Monday night to Cincinnati, out-dueling Joe Burrow, who was desperate for a win at 0-2, securing that victory with the throw to Terry, which really instilled confidence in everyone, not just his teammates, not just Jayden himself, but the coaching staff as well. And this fan base for that matter. But then not coming home. Instead, taking the show on the road, straight to Arizona, staying at Arizona State for a week, and then kicking the Cardinals' ass and putting up a 40-burger in the process. It was at that point where I think we all realized I think we got something here. This team's different. You come up short against the Ravens, but you don't fret. You turn around, you win 3 straight, including some dominant victories over Carolina and Cleveland, teams that you're supposed to beat up. And Jayden gets a little banged up in the process. Doesn't miss any games. Comes back, guts it out against Chicago. Obviously, the Washington walk-off, a.k.a. Bear Trap, a.k.a. Noah's Ark, was epic. Unnecessary. We should have dominated that game, but epic nonetheless. If we would have just won 26-10, we would not have ended the Bears season the way that we did. That was the perfect way to put them to sleep. You then go and sweep the Giants, and you sit there at 7-2, and you ask yourself, is this real? And then you run into the adverse portion of your season that really comes to define this team. You lose 3 straight. You fork over leadership of the NFC East, which you would never regain the rest of the season. People start asking questions about this team. Has Jayden Daniels hit his apex? Have teams figured him out? Has Cliff Kingsbury hit the cliff? He's not a second half offensive coordinator. What happened to the Commanders' run game? Every question that one could think of. And then the fan base, a lot of you unravel because that's what we do. No, not we. You do when times get tough because, and I'm not pointing fingers and I'm not chastising you because you have PTSD. And some of you still do to this day. And it got tough. But this team didn't blink. They didn't flinch. And Bobby Wagner, honestly, was the catalyst for this team sticking together and that brotherhood shining through, along with Dan Quinn and his staff. But Bobby Wagner as a player, player coach, he rose up. He gave a speech. He told the media, not giving up on this team. This is a great team. It ain't a good team. It's a great team. And when we win 4 in a row, y'all going to be asking me different questions. There were some hurtful losses in there to Philadelphia. Pittsburgh really stung. The Dallas one was really nasty. A lesser team doesn't get up off the canvas. Yeah, we got knocked down during that 3-game loser streak. A lesser team does not get up off the canvas after that Dallas loss. That was as debilitating a loss to a rival, and they suck at that as one can get. That one could have floored us for good. But we rose up like a phoenix from the ashes. We destroyed Tennessee. We went into our bye week, and we've never looked back. And it's that stretch of a close win over New Orleans, a close win over Philadelphia, a close win over Atlanta, a close win over Dallas that set the stage for this playoff run. It was that moment when this team realized their true potential. I think some of us as fans started to realize this team's full potential. No longer is this house money. This team's the real deal, and they can do it. And here we sit. Victories over 2 top 5 offenses on the road. The number 3 seed, the number 1 seed, and now the number 2 seed stands in the way. And we get to return to the scene of the crime and right or wrong. A lot of streaks here that need to be broken. Haven't won in Philadelphia since 2022. Sean Hockley's the referee. Eagles are 6-0 when he's refereeing a game. Jayden's never won in Philadelphia. I could go on, but at the end of the day, let's go shock the world again. A lot of backhanded compliments. A lot of, oh, man, this is a great story, but ... No buts, no ifs. Let's just go get it done. We're a team of destiny, and it's our time. They got to deal with us now. I'm looking forward to seeing that take place on Sunday evening. As we go into the link and we come out victorious and we raise that George Halas trophy on their field in front of their fans. There'll be no sweeter revenge than that, I can assure you. And this team's brotherhood is battle-tested enough to get the job done. So let's do it. You ready to shock the world? Because I am. In other news, we heard from Jayden Daniels again. I wasn't expecting that. Another surprise. DQ once more. And then we also heard from special teams coordinator Larry Izzo. So before we get to what was said between those three gentlemen, let's first take a look at the final injury report for both teams. So nothing to really see here, right? I told you that this injury report for both teams was going to be relatively, insignificant. Jeff Driscoll dealing with the illness. He may not be available. Let's hope he is. But if he's not, we should be fine. John Baptiste. Look, I want him available. You want to roll with a deep crew. I like what he's been doing in the postseason, especially dropping into coverage. They've been using him in that regard, really well. So hopefully he's available with the shoulder. I expect him to be available. Same with Deron Payne. I saw him talking in the locker room. Doesn't sound like a guy that has any intentions of missing this game. He hasn't practiced all week. But if you think Deron Payne's missing this game, you got to be outside your mind. So, again, nothing to see here. Everybody else, good to go. I expect all hands on deck here. And, I already told you this was a non-threatening injury report all week. You go to the ops, and it's the same thing. Britton Covey and Cam Jurgens are both questionable. Byron Young is out of this game with a hamstring, a defensive tackle. But the main name there is Cam Jurgens. If he can't go at the center position, great. Great. That's a big boost for us. But I expect him to be out there. Right? Again, all hands on deck. All hands on deck. I expect him to be out there and ready to help this Eagles team try to advance to the Super Bowl. So, again, not much to see here on either side. We knew that Dallas Goedert was going to play. We knew that Jalen Hurts was going to play. You knew that Quinyon Mitchell was going to play. You knew that it wasn't anything to see here. So, again, not really going to waste your time belaboring over an injury report for either team that is insignificant. So, all hands will be on deck for both teams is what I'm pretty much telling you. So, Jayden stepped to the podium, and he basically said, look, the time is now. I'm not much for talking. They asked him about what he was saying to the Lions fans. He was like, look, I didn't say anything to them. I let my play do the talking on the field. He's like, I block out all the noise. I don't really be paying attention to the road crowd, none of that shit. They, they was looking for a nice soundbite, a nice quote. All they got out of the kid was, I let my play do the talking. Love this dude, man. They asked him about, his cleats. He loves wearing Kobe cleats. He's like, they dope cleats, but that's his favorite player, right? That was his favorite player growing up. He loved his mentality. And you can see, I told you, I say, Kobe, Jordan, Jayden. That's what I've been saying. He's got that Mamba mentality. And we know, the Mamba mentality came from Jordan, right? And they used to call Jordan the Black Cat. So, those, you can see where Jayden kind of got his demeanor from, right? So, he just talked about Kobe's approach to the game, how he never cheated the game, was always prepared. And that's Jayden. You can see where, what his influences are, how he models his game. And, he's confident that this team can go out there and get it done. And that was pretty much his presser. Like, he wasn't a lot to it. He's locked in. He said, I just stay locked in. That's it. I just stay locked in. I don't worry about the noise surrounding me. I don't worry about what people are saying. I just stay locked in. Good. That's where we like you. Locked in. That's my guy. You go to DQ. He talked about, this game, the challenges, obviously, Saquon, right? We've been talking about him all week long. We're going to talk about him more again today. um, and how you have to be disciplined and how it takes guys being disciplined to defeat, Saquon Barkley and this Philadelphia Eagles team, because they're going to continue to test you and your discipline snap after snap after snap. Yeah, you may be disciplined for 7 straight snaps, but on the 8th snap, you might not be, and that might be the one that gets you got, right? That's what the Eagles do. They're not going to stop running the football because they know at some point the dam will break. So if we just keep pressing and pressing and pressing, we'll get one. And that's all they're looking for. So we got to be disciplined enough to say, no, there is no one this time. You got us the first time. You got us the second time. There is no third time. That's what the discipline has to be. One of the things I loved about DQ today and the other day too was he said that this team has found its identity. He said, but they have not found their ceiling. I love that. He said, he told them after the win on the road at Detroit in the locker room, he said, I told you guys we needed to be some heavy hitters. Well, we some effing heavy hitters now, right? So we found our identity. We some heavy hitters now. You got to deal with us now. But we haven't found our ceiling. There's still another level that we can tap into, and another level and another level. We still can get to a place that's a lot higher than we are now. He said, but the floor has been raised. I love that. I love that. Ceiling, we don't know where that's at, but we know we haven't hit it yet. But the floor, that's been elevated. And in doing that, he talked about this team and how they've gotten better. And I told you, this isn't the same team that saw the Eagles in week 16. This team is exponentially better. And he said, it's not just physically. He said, this team is better mentally. And I couldn't agree with him more. Like, we've grown, and he elaborated on that growth. He said, it comes from going through the fire, being in those close games over and over and over and over again. And when you continue to win in those close games, you start to build this level of invincibility where you start to feel like, I don't give a shit what the situation is, whether you down 27-13 to the Eagles, or 27-14 to the Eagles in the third quarter, and you staring 4th and 11 in the face, or you down 17-7 at the half to Atlanta and you staring defeat in the face, or you trailing to a hapless Cowboys team late with your backup quarterback in the game, needing a drive, and you go get it. Whatever the case may be, there's a belief that's been built within that locker room that it doesn't matter the situation, the circumstance. If we got the ball and we got a chance, we're winning the game. We can't be stopped on offense, and we're going to find a way to make the plays necessary defensively to get it done. This team has grown, and they're better on the field. Marshawn Lattimore is back. Jonathan Allen, they haven't seen him all season long. This is a better team. De'Ami Brown has emerged as a legitimate number 2. This team is better. They're different than the last time the Eagles saw them. And oh, by the way, we got our swagger back on the ground. And DQ pretty much said they brought in Jay Glazer earlier in the season. He brought in a series of, guest speakers early in the season, TFO, the Marines or Navy SEALs, excuse me. Just a series of guys. Glazer was one of them to talk to the team. And he said that there are 90 therapists in the locker room, meaning you guys got to lean on each other. You can be open with one another. You can tell each other how you feel, because this is what the brotherhood is all about. It stays in that room. Everybody got each other's back. So it was a great message, well received, and it kind of goes with that anybody, anywhere, anytime mentality. You can only exude that. You can only live that if you believe it within those walls. and those guys do. And you know, the thing that got me so fired up, it was simple, but it's music to my ears, and that's why I got the utmost confidence in this team. DQ said this, and I know he ain't bullshitting me because he ain't bullshitted me all year long. He ain't lied to me once, not one time. He told me, because he didn't have to do this, he didn't have to divulge this. This wasn't asked of him, he volunteered this. He said, this Friday's practice, the practice they had today, was the best Friday practice they've had all season long. He said, we're locked in. Damn, I love this team. That's music to my ears, and that's a problem for the Eagles. That's trouble for them. And then Larry Izzo spoke, and it was quick, it was brief. You know, I'll be feeling bad for him because he want to talk. He want them to ask him questions, and they just usually don't, right? You know, asked him a few special teams questions. They asked him about Nick Ballore, who has been outstanding. He called him, you know, a unique player, one of the best special teams players he's ever been around. Called him a coach on the field, essentially, along with Jeremy Reeves. Those two guys have done wonders for that unit. So he talked about that. And then he talked about, you know, Zane Gonzalez and the trust that they have in him. And so that was the gist of what he talked about. I mean, they didn't really ask him too many questions. They asked him broad questions because apparently he lived in this area back in '87 when we won the Super Bowl. So they asked him questions that I thought were more fitting for DQ than him. But maybe because of his background here, they felt like they were pertinent questions. But ultimately, let's get to the game plan, man, and what it's going to take for the Commanders to shock the world yet again. Because nobody believes but us. And like I told y'all last time when we were going on the road to take on Detroit, we'll need nobody but us. All that matters is the belief that those guys in the locker room have and us as fans have in them. That's all that matters. All we got is us. All we need is us. Am I my brother's keeper? So, let's talk about the keys to victory for the Commanders, and we start on the offensive side. Establish the run game and success on early downs to set up third and fourth down conversions. I think it is going to be imperative, and this kind of sets up another point that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, but I think it is imperative that we establish the run. The last 3 games the Eagles have played in with their starters, minus the Giants game in Week 18, they've surrendered 4.5 yards per carry to the running backs or more, right? Kyron Williams averaged 5.6 yards a carry. Both Josh Jacobs and Rico Dowdle each averaged 4.5 yards a carry. Dowdle went over 100. Williams went over 100. And so there are opportunities to gash this Eagles defense, I believe, running the football. We can be effective on the ground. They're not the same Eagles defense that shut us down the first 2 games running the football. And I'll take it a step further. We're not the same team they saw before. We're better. And losing Cosme sucks, man. It really, truly does. But we'll overcome it. We'll overcome it. I want to average 4.5 yards or more in this game with the running backs. Jayden may pull that average down just because of the sheer volume. He may run it 13 times in this game, but only run for 51 yards, right? It may not do wonders for the average, but it'll be productive. It was 3rd and 3 and he got 5, right? It was, 4th and 1 and he got 2, right? It'll be that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be productive, but I'm looking for the backs to average 4.5 yards or more in this game. And I'm looking for 140 rush yards total between the backs, Jayden, and whomever else touches it, whether it's a receiver on a, reverse jet sweep, whatever. I need 140 yards or more on the ground total as a team. And I need us to stay out of 1st and 2nd and long. And that also includes staying away from penalties. I know Sean Hockley loves to throw the flag. He loves to hear his voice. He loves to talk. All right, so we got to stay out of the holding because he'll throw the flag. He loves to hear his own voice, just like his daddy did, right? So we got to stay away from the senseless penalties that put us in 2nd and 17 or 1st and 20 because he wants to throw the flag. Don't give him a reason because he's itching to throw it. All right. Protect the next offensive key. Protect Jayden and the Duke. You know what it is. No turnovers. The team that makes the fewest mistakes in this game will win, more likely than not. We've been the team that's made the fewest mistakes in all of our postseason games to this point. And if that continues, again, I don't see us losing. 2 sacks allowed, right? 2 sacks allowed. None on third down. None on third down. Jayden's only been sacked 1 time in this postseason. I'd like to have him not be sacked at all in this game. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't expect the Eagles to blitz. They blitzed more than they ever have this season in the second meeting, and it got torched on the ground by Jayden and gave up big plays. And I just don't see them repeating that. I don't think they're going to blitz him. They didn't blitz as much in the first meeting. They had more success then. I think they're going to kind of go back to that kind of model of trying to defend him. And he's grown since then, so he'll be more apt to pick it apart. Next offensive key, be us, right? Tempo, time of possession, and the others have to step up. So DQ has talked about us being who we are. Be us, be you. We're tempo. And I watched how tempo affected them in the second game, because we didn't really get into tempo the first game because we weren't very successful on early downs. And I talked about establishing the run game and having success on early downs. That allows you to get into your tempo. That allows Jalen Carter to have his hands on his hips. That doesn't allow the Eagles to sub in and out and get fresh bodies on the field. That's what you want. You want Jalen Carter to not be as effective? Make his ass run. We had Vita Vea gasping for air on the field, dying for air on the sidelines. That's what you do to dominant defensive tackles. You wear their ass out with tempo. Well, you got to have success on early downs. You get that tempo going, you establish first downs, you win time of possession. I want to win time of possession by 5 minutes or more in this game. Team that wins time of possession probably going to end up winning this game, right? Eagles won time of possession in both contests, if I'm not mistaken, especially the second one. I know they won it in that game, but we still overcame that. But I don't want to live in that world. And I need a combo of OZ, JC, Diami, and the others. And the others could be John Bates, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., whoever else is getting thrown the football, not named Terry McLaurin, and Zach Ertz, because we know those two are going to be targeted in critical situations. I need the others to step up. Diami, continue to play like a bona fide 2. When opportunities present itself, make it happen. I need 14 catches combined from the others, not named Terry and Zach Ertz. And I need 150 yards or more of total offense from those guys catching the football. That happens, because Terry's going to get his, Zach is going to get his. If that happens, we're in really good shape. OZ and JC Ice stepped up the last time we played them. Maybe Diami this time. Diami's been the leading receiver in both games in the postseason, yardage-wise. I wouldn't be mad if it happened again, as long as Terry still gets his. Last offensive key, win third and fourth downs and the red zone. You know my mantra here, 45% or better on third downs. 40% is our mile marker. We hit 40%, we win. But I want our season average. I want 45% or better. Fourth downs, I want 100% if it's 3 or less attempts. But I think this is a 4-attempt game. So I'll take 75% if it's 4 attempts, 3 or 4. We're good for, not getting the first one. So once that's out of the way, out of our system, if we're going to go for it 4 times, get the rest of them. I would like to just stay perfect if at all possible. Get all of those fourth downs. Put pressure on them. And then red zone, 3 or 4 or 4 or 5. Anything less than 4 attempts, you need to be perfect. If we only have 3 attempts, you're 3 of 3. We only have 2 attempts, you're 2 of 2. Whatever the case may be, if once you exceed 3 attempts, you are allowed 1 miss in the red zone, and that needs to be a field goal. And it needs to be converted. You get to the defensive keys. Start fast and finish in winning time moments. 7 or less points in the first quarter, and then outscore the Eagles in the fourth quarter. That's what we've done this postseason. Outscored Tampa Bay 10-3 in the final frame, and that got us the win. Outscored the Lions 14-3 in that contest, and that allowed us to walk away with that one comfortably. Continue to outscore our opponents because we're going to keep it close the first 3 quarters, if not already be ahead. Finish in championship in winning time moments for this defense. Slow down Saquon for 4 quarters. That's the biggest. I mean, who are we kidding? That's the biggest defensive key, right? Slow down. We've done it in spurts. We've done it for 3 quarters. You know, we've done it for 2 quarters. I thought we did it for 3 quarters in the first game. I thought we did it for 2 quarters in the second game. But we've never done it for 4 quarters. 25 carries, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown for Saquon. I can live with that. That won't get the job done. That won't beat us. It's the 163, it's the 177, it's the 205. That's what's going to get us beat. We can overcome 123 because it ain't a lot of explosive runs with 123, right? Unless you get one big one and then after that you get shut down. And if that's the case, so be it. If he gets a 62-yard touchdown run and in the rest of the game, he has 61 yards total, I can live with that. But what we can't have is 2 big explosives and then he's still getting 5 and 6 and 7 here and there. That can't happen. We got to limit this dude, man. And this is another must. I don't want to see Kenneth Gainwell get shit in this game. Nothing. When Saquon comes out, run game dead. That first game, Kenneth Gainwell had a drive. That shit can't pop off. If it ain't Saquon, it can't be yards. Period. Next defensive key. Make Hurts a passer, pressure and sack him, and tackle underneath on throws. Look, Jalen Hurts lives on throwing the ball to receivers underneath and them breaking tackles and getting yards after the catch. One of his biggest outputs here down the stretch was against Pittsburgh. A lot of checkdowns. Lived in checkdown city in that game. And the Steelers couldn't tackle. That can't be us. Rally to the football. I want to see hats flying to the ball. And we got to tackle. Right? We got to tackle. When we get to Hurts, we got to get him down. He's been sacked 9 times in 2 playoff games this year. 7 times against the Rams, twice against Green Bay. Our pass rush is coming on at the right time. And with his lack of mobility, he can move. Don't get it twisted. He'll be moving around. He ain't the same Jalen Hurts. I won't be mad if they decide to throw some pressure at him here and there. And I like our corners outside. I like Noah Igbenogany inside. I like the matchups. I like Jeremy Chin against Dallas Goedert. I like our matchups. Give me us. Dorrance, win inside. Dante Fowler Jr., win outside. Oos, win outside. I like us. Clee, this might be a Cleveland Farrell big play game. Last time we played against them, he had a sack for his fumble. We got to tackle him. We got to get Hurts on the ground. And if he makes a mistake, he puts the ball on the floor, we got to recover it. He gives us a chance to pick one off. He threw one that could have been picked off in the end zone against the Rams and they didn't catch it. We got to have it. And when he throws those little underneath passes, either push them out of bounds or get their ass on the ground. Ain't no run out to catch. And then last defensive key, win on early downs to set up 3rd and medium to long and win in the red zone. So what we don't want to find ourselves in those situations where they can get to the tush push, right? Where they can get to the brotherly shove. Get them in the 3rd and 6, get them in the 3rd and 8, get them in the 3rd and 9 consistently, and we'll get off the field. We'll get off the field. If they want to go for it on 4th and 3, they want to go for it on 4th and 2, be my guest. Long as they can't use the brotherly shove, if they're going for it on 4th down, I feel good. Because I think we can get off the field. But what I don't want them to be is in constant situations where, hey, they got that in their back pocket. And then we got to win in the red zone. Less than 40% on 3rd downs. That was their average this season, 40% on 3rd downs. I want them under their average. They were 2 of 11 against the Rams. That sounds good to me. 50% or less in the red zone. All right? Or 50% and less on fourth downs if they decide to go for it. So if they go for it twice, one of two. You know what it is. You know how this works. And then in the red zone, if it's an even number, 50%. So if they go to the red zone twice, one of two. They go 4 times, 2 of 4. If it's an odd number, 66%. So, or less, right? 2 of 3, 66%. 3 of 5, 60%. That's the type of time we need to be on. And I'm looking for a miss or 2 from Jake Elliott. Extra point, field goal, don't matter to me. 3s hurt more than 1s, but whatever. Looking for 1 or 2 Jake Elliott misses while I'm there. So, with that said, I've already told my score multiple times on different platforms, so y'all already know where I stand. 31-26. We going into the belly of the beast, and we coming out victorious. I'm as ready as I've been this season, and y'all know what time it is. So you know where I stand. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. Scoring more. What do you see transpiring in this game? How confident are you? You already know. I'm bleeding confidence right now. I'm oozing it out of every nook and cranny. I'm as confident can be. I love where we sit. I love where we are. And I love this squad. Watch party Sunday. Y'all know what it is. Get your tickets. Link is in the description and going to be pinned to the comment section. I don't got to keep telling y'all. Y'all know that there's a watch party on Sunday, and either you want to be there or not, whatever the case may be. If you can't and you want to donate, do that. That same link to buy tickets can get you into the donation realm as well. Really appreciate everybody that's going to be in attendance and everyone that's going to be watching at home and everyone that's going to donate. I really appreciate you. With that said, there's nothing really left to say. I'll leave you with this, though. The Eagles are wearing their midnight green uniforms for this game. It's very fitting. It's perfect. You know why? Because the clock is about to strike midnight on their season. Their shit is done. We'll prove to them that we got one of them ones and we're the better team. They may have the better roster, but we're the better team. And that's what's most important. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. I'll see y'all on Sunday.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, and to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first